dula fa fatshe bagaetsho re a leboga. Re lebogela bofuthu bo la amogetseng mopresidente ka ona. Ke a solofela le ene o mo bofuthu go amogelwa. Presidente bana ba gago ba go amogetse. Re ka dula fa fatshe bagaetsho, programa ya rona e tla go simolla ya letsatsi. Mme ke rata gore mongwe le mongwe ka gonne re a itse gore santse re na le COVID magareng ga rona. Ga o bona motho kwa gago a sa rwala mask, mo gopotse o mo kgwate fela o re tsenya mask o buele ko tlase. A ke re bagaetsho, a re netefatseng gore re nna safe ba botlhe. Mme re a leboga bagaetsho gore e be le ntse le rile mo puleng e. Re a go utlwelela mopresidente wa rona mo puleng e. Re a go netefatsa gore re a ko stadium sa Koster. Halala Koster, halala. Halala Koster, halala. Gale re bona re riana re fetsa go bula batsadi ke a tshepa le tla itumela. Mopresidente o fetsa go bula library ya bana ba lona gone jaanong. A re netefatseng gore ra itlhokomela library e. Gonne ke ditshwanelo tsa bana ba rona. A re netefatseng gore ga gona ope o ka ithubang. A ke re bagaetsho, ke a bana ba lona la netefatsa gore le tlo itlhokomela. Emisang di-flag ke bone gore la netefatsa. All right, re a leboga bagaetsho. A re diriseng sentle le bana ba rona ba diriseng sentle. Bagaetsho, programa ya rona e setse e simolotse. Honorable President Ntate Cyril Ramaphosa, the Premier of the Northwest Ntate Bushimape, the Minister of Departments of Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation Ntate Natim Tetwa, the Minister of Department of Justice and Correctional Services Honorable Ronald Lamola, the Minister Warona Metandi Mudise, ngwana wa mmu o teng mo gare ga rona le ene, dumela marona, the members of the Executive Council, the MECs that are here, MEC Wendy Matsemela, MEC Desbo Mohono, MEC Lina Micha, MEC Saliva Molapisi, MEC Ntatele Hare, bo majoro ba rona ba ba eteletseng pele ke district mayor me Matlakala Nonzama o teng mo gare ga rona. Ke le batla ka matlho ke re ke a litsi. Re a leboga le di mayor tsotlhe tse di leng teng kwano ka jeko. Councillor Jacobs, dumela rra mayor wa mo Koster, ra go dumedisa re mo lehatsheng la gago. Haibo councillor, re a leboga bagaetsho. Ke dumedisa makhansela otlhe, traditional leaders tse di leng teng kwano mo letsatsing la kajeko. Re a le leboga bagaetsho. Baagi ba Bokone Bophirima dumelang. Ke a leboga bagaetsho. Ke tlo go netefatsa gore ke fa nako e setse re sile, ga ke tlo go dira speech se se telele thata, mme ke tlo go fa moprimiri wa rona wa Bokone Bophirima. I'm sorry, ke lebetse thapelo. Ke kopa fela reme ka dinao. Ke itumetse thata ke re library butswa yanong. E ntse ntsenya stress yanong ke itumetse. Kopa reme ka dinao ro pele national anthem. Still standing, we are going to have AU anthem. Re a leboga re ka dula fa fatshe. Re a leboga bomme le borre ba rona ba sepolisi. Re leboga thata ha le ntse le dula fa fatshe ba gaetsho ke le gakolle gore leina la ka ke Mokhuduthamaga Tsotso Tlhapi, Mokhuduthamaga wa Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation in the Northwest. Ke tlo go share programa e le Minister wa rona wa Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation, Minister Nathi Mthethwa. Re tlo go share serala nna lene go netefatsa ga tiro e ya letsatsi la kajeko e tsamaya sentle gonne ke letsatsi le le siameng tota, ke letsatsi le leng gore batho ba rona ba tshwanela ke gore ba itumele thata, ebile ke nagana gore le ketelo ya mopresidente ba tla itumela thata baagi ba Koster, Honorable President. Ba gaetsho re itse rotlhe gore di 21 tsa March ke go gakolla ma South Africa rona ka di sacrifices tse leng gore di diragetse during the struggle for the attainment of the democracy in the South Africa. So jaaka puso re tshwanela ke gore nako le nako re celebrate letsatsi le kana ka tiro e tshwanetseng. Ka jalo ke tlo go kopa fa pele ke kope mopremiri wa rona before re bua tse dintsi re mmotsa gore a ra amogelesegile mo lefatsheng la gagwe Tonakgolo Bushi Mape mo feng le khofi a ra amogele bagaetso.
Ke a leboga modiri mmogo jaaka nna Metlhapi, ke dumedise presidente le ba kabinete botlhe ba ba fa le badiri mmogo ka nna di MEC tsotlhe tse di fa, ke dumedise le ba Human Rights Commission, ke dumedise le di mayara le makhanselara. Nna ga ka tla go dira kgang e telele ke tlile go ntsha dirimaka hela ka letsatsi le la gompieno mo go amogeleng presidente ya ka tlile ha go setse go buile gore gompieno a ka re kopane re leboga thata ba ne ba le teng mo pele ga rona ba dirileng gore gompieno re dutse aka re dutse jana re bone kgololosego. We are meeting here to celebrate this day, in our diversity, in our rich cultural heritage, which binds all of us together for a common purpose of duty and unity. We celebrate here as we are people speaking different languages, coming from different communities, but united as one. We recall, particularly because we are in Koster, the tragedy that befell us in 2008, when one young person shot and killed for other persons. Ons is jammer dat dit gebeur het. Ons is nie trots daarop nie. Maar wil graag sê, dit is die verlede. Ons is nou meer bekommerd oor die toekoms. En saam wil ons hierdie toekoms bou. Ons wil graag hê, ons moet as een nasie. Ek hoor soms praat mense en sê hulle is nasies. Daar's net een nasie in Suid-Afrika. En ons is verskillende gemeenskappe. En ons wil graag sê, laat ons almal saamwerk. Wat gebeur het in die verlede was vreeslik. Wat ons wil sê is, dit sal nooit weer gebeur nie. Nie in Koster nie, nie in die Noordwes nie, nie in ons land nie. I want to say that those people who passed on during that unfortunate incident, we say that they must continue to rest in peace, and we pay homage to them. MEC, let me thank the Human Rights Commission for deciding on this municipality to host this important event. Let me say that as we celebrate Human Rights Day, we think about many who are not here with us today. I think about people, some of them we had contact with. One particular person, I don't know where that person is from, but that person died in Vryburg. There was an exchange of fire between that person and the police somewhere in the 1980s. That person was buried. We struggled, and we are still struggling, to identify the relatives, the family of that person. We in Vryburg gave that person a name. We say he's Motsamai. But we think about such people today, people whose family cannot still account for them, people who history is going to obliterate them from our memories because they have no names. They are people who sacrifice so much for us. I also, Mr. President, want to take this opportunity to say that when we talk about Human Rights Day, we link this day to our Constitution, particularly where it is talking about socio-economic rights. Because if we don't enjoy socio-economic rights, then we don't have rights. Then we don't have human rights. And I want to talk about two things that worry the Executive Council of the Northwest. And these two things are service delivery and unemployment. These two things prevent us from creating a situation where we should enjoy our human rights. We have said that as the collective, we want to implement a program that we call Accelerated Service Delivery Plan. And we speak to mayors on a daily basis about the potholes, about water, about rubbish collection, about sewer, about lights. We are going to continue speaking to them, maybe ad nauseam, about these problems, that as long as we don't really solve these problems, seal the potholes, ensure that people have water, then people will not be in a position to enjoy their human rights. And we also want to say that in terms of job creation, we know this is a difficult one, but we commit ourselves to do something about this, particularly because it afflicts that generation, that part of our society that is called the youth. The youth. If you look at youth unemployment in the Northwest, the figure is horrific. More than 60%. The figure is horrific. And we must do something about it. And we are listening very carefully to the youth. And when they express the wish for this situation to be addressed, they sometimes say, Mushapale, Mushapale. When they express the wish for this thing to be addressed, they sometimes say, nothing for us without us. Nothing for us without us. They sometimes say, uzoyithola kanjani uhlezi emakhoneni? Uzoyithola kanjani uhlezi emakhoneni? They sometimes say, Mosha kinako. Youth, it is now the time. And we hear them clearly. We hear them clearly. Because when they say these things, when they say Mushapale, they say we want to be part of the political decision making. And we said, you are right, you must be part of that. When they say nothing for us without us, they say we want to be active participants in transforming our society, in changing our lives. They say nothing for us without us. When they say uzoyithola kanjani uhlezi emakhoneni, they say this economic transformation we are talking about, we want to benefit from it. We want to be part of it. And when they say that, uzoyithola kanjani uhlezi emakhoneni, they are not talking about handouts. They are not talking about passive recipients of handouts. They are saying we want to be active and do something about our situation. When they say that, Mushakinako, youth, now is the time, they mean their situation must be addressed now. They mean their situation must be addressed now. And we, as the executive of the Northwest, agree with them. Wherever they are, whether they are students, whether they are workers, whether they are youth in business, whether they are youth in youth formations, we must do something about this situation. We have to do something about this situation because we are saying the youth is the future. The youth is the future. You can't say the youth is the future if you do not invest in the youth. So we as this government, Mr. President, are committed to this. And we want to do this in the context of the DDM. We want to do this in the context of social compacting. In fact, we say we want to have a covenant. As the people of the Northwest, we want to have a covenant with each other and say these are our problems and together we must address them. I want to conclude, Mr. President, by saying that we as the Northwest, in terms of vaccination, we are number 5 from the bottom, we are number 5 from the top. We are not impressed. We can't be mid-table. We must do something about this. But the key problem is that the youth is not vaccinating. And we want to make a special plea, a special appeal to the youth that please vaccinate. Please vaccinate. There are lots of stories about COVID, this, that, this, that. You know, the scientists have tried to answer the questions, but there are still others who are still asking questions about this and that. Where there is unanimity, where there is agreement, no guara, is that vaccination helps. There's no debate. There's no unclarity. Vaccination helps. We are not saying vaccination is a cure. No, we are saying if you have vaccinated and you get COVID, it won't be severe. It won't be severe like in a case of someone who is not vaccinated. If you get COVID and you have vaccinated, possibilities of you dying from COVID are quite limited. We make this special appeal to the youth. The youth, kinako, vaccinate. Please, kinako. At your schools, at your colleges, at universities, at your places of employment, please, kinako, vaccinate. I want to conclude, Mr. President, by saying that Rona Relvatwa Northwest, re itumela thata o ntse re etela kgapetse-kgapetse wa re rotloetsa gape gompe ke e tlang gape wa tla ga o tlodisile beke Mr President bo re etela re itumela thata re tla dirisana mmogo re rotloetsa baagi ba rona gore le bone ba dirisane mmogo re batla go lwantsha semorafe mo gare ga rona re batho ba le nosi re lwantsha semorafe re batla go sireletsa bana ba rona le basadi ba rona kgatlhanong le batho ba ba sotlakang ga gona selo se se maswe se se tshwanang le gender-based violence ga gona selo se se maswe se se tshwanang le seo go tla tshwanna ke gore rotlhe re eme ka maoto re dire sengwe ka yone re batla go aga di-community tsa rona tse di tlotlang constitution ya rona ke khutla Mr President ka gore re go amogetse mo Koster re go amogetse mo Bojanala district re go amogetse mo North West ke a leboga
Re leboga tonakgolo re lebogela kamogelo e bofuthu mo Koster re tla gololosega re tla lokologa mo Koster tonakgolo ka ntlha ya gore o re amogetse a re tsweleleng ka programa ya rona bagaetso mo gareng ga rona gape re na le bao ba tlo re fang melaetsa ya thotloetso mme ke biletse ko pele the Deputy Chairperson of the South African Human Rights Commission, Fatuma Kohan. I'm not too sure whether she's ready because they said she will address us virtually. Is it ready?
Your Excellency,
Thank
President
you.
Cyril Ramaphosa, Madam Speaker of the National Assembly, Acting Chief Justice, Premier of the Northwest, Ministers, Deputy Ministers, MECs, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. I greet you all on behalf of the South African Human Rights Commission on this Human Rights Day. On this day annually, we remind ourselves about the sacrifices that accompanied the struggle for the attainment of democracy in our country. Human Rights Day is further commemorated to reinforce the principles enshrined in the Bill of Rights of our Constitution, which was adopted 26 years ago. We observe this day each year in order to recommit to safeguarding and protecting the rights of all. We also salute the unsung heroes, the human rights defenders, ordinary men and women who every day stand up against injustice and who work hard to ensure that South Africa is a fairer and more equal society. As we all know, South Africa has a history steeped in human rights violations. While we have indeed made great strides in addressing our past, a lot more remains to be done. The unrest in KwaZulu-Natal and the Gauteng provinces last year were a sign of continuing fractures within South African society that contradicts and undermines the project of building a country united in its diversity. It is also of great concern to the Human Rights Commission that violence against women and girls, sometimes in their own homes, continues unabated. Many violent crimes are constantly on the rise. For example, the murder rates have reportedly increased by 8.9% between October and December 2021 compared to the same period the previous year. disrespect for the rule of law is seemingly growing in our midst. We therefore appreciate an opportunity such as this one, as it allows us as a nation to take stock of how far we have come in becoming a nation at peace with itself. We indeed have a long way to go, but there can be no doubt that each of us bears responsibility for the state of affairs that pertain, and that equally each one of us are vested with the power to bring about positive change. The time has come for us as a nation to really take stock of our moral compass and resolve that we that we need to do better. On this day, the South African Human Rights Commission calls on each one of us to reflect on the bonds that connect us all: humanity, dignity, and respect. May God bless our country. Inkosi sikelele i-Afrika. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fatima Shuhan, for that message. I will now call on the podium, while we are happy, President, that you are here, Bekele Beke. I will now call on stage the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Mr. Ronald Lamola.
Thank you very much, Program Director. The ABC for Sports, Culture and Sports in the Northwest, the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Tate Natim Tetwa, the Deputy Chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, the Premier of the Northwest Province, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, distinguished guests, we gather here today on a significant day in the history of our country and for our democratic dispensation. The South Africa that our heroes of yesterday lived in 62 years ago, and the South Africa we have woken up to today are two remarkable, different to each other. The freedoms we enjoy today are self-evident, and perhaps we may even argue that the past 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic curtailed most of our rights in ways we could not have expected in a democracy. But that is precisely what makes a different nation under COVID-19. Our rights were not limited by arbitrary power. All our actions to protect the nations had to be justified within the rubric of the Constitution. A Constitution which has been implemented for 25 years is a Constitution that provides a number of ways for claiming and defending basic rights, such as socio-economic rights to housing, healthcare, food, and water. Although the gains of our democracy are self-evident, it is also apparent that this young democracy has been suffocated by corruption and other forms of maladministration. As a result, our national goal of eliminating poverty and reducing inequality by 2030 is at a critical vantage point. The NDP underscores our historical position as per our Reconstruction and Development Program, and I quote from the NDP: "No political democracy can survive and flourish if the mass of our people remain in poverty, without land, without tangible prospects of a better life. Attacking poverty and deprivation must therefore be the first priority of any democratic government." Close quote. I have no doubt that the duty of revitalizing sustained economic growth and employment creation and structural transformation of our economy is one which we have to fulfill as this current administration. Yes, external factors may well influence the pace and processes of structural transformation, which precisely the reason the social compact identified by the President's leadership in this sixth administration is possible one of the most important interventions required to sustain our democracy and deliver on the promises of the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, the constant wave of violence that besiege our nation at various times and levels shows us that we need to do more to entrench human rights in all facets of our society. The various incidents of racism, which continues to lay their ugly head in some of our schools, lawlessness and attacks on black Africans, foreign nationals, and sometimes Asian foreign nationals, shows us that as a nation, our humanity is at an all-time low. Let our actions not destroy our humanity and the gains of our democracy. Instead, our actions should entrench the Bill of Rights in all spheres of society. Let us use this day to reflect on how we can be better humans and better our communities and build a better nation for the benefit of all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think we all know that human rights are inherent to all human beings, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of sex, nationality, etc. and etc. So everyone has a right to work, has a right to be educated. As we move on with our program, I will request, if they are ready, the cultural group. Are you ready for Busi Radebe? Are you ready for Busi? Are you ready for Busi? Abantse banamela mo stage le ne le ipakanye. I will call on stage the Minister of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation, Minister Natim Tetwa, to continue with the program. Busi, over to you. Are you ready to Busi?
Upindo kuselu moya wami Jesus Songa tuzoikini pilo yabi Upinde kuselu moya wami Songa tuzoikini pilo yabi Weno pindo kuselu moya wami Obana dohamba Ichonge guwe Woke, ewe kama klesa woke, obana doaba, ichonge we, kama klesa, ewe kama klesa woke, obana doaba. Jesu. Koster, how are you? No. Maya Jesu. Was. Dihamba. Dichonge buwe. Koster. Governor Doampa. Dichonge. Koster, how are you? Somados uikini piloya. Shayis bambato. Upindo koselumoya. Shaya. Bawa muikine piloya. Asa. Upinda wano koselumoya. Moya che. Governor Joamba, President Nova, Dichonge Guyaoma. Governor Joamba, Dichonge Kamakesha. I love you, Koster. Bahulu bamewe, batsona we. Dichonge. Kosa. Governor Toamba. Dichonge. Jesus. Hallelujah.
A big round of applause, please. No, I didn't hear that. Well, if you don't have a talent, don't be jealous. Can we have a round of applause? Thank you very much. Alala Northwest, alala. Alala Northwest, alala. Alala Bukoni Bupirima, alala. Alala Bujanala, alala. Hey, Koster. Koster and Koster. Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. Koster is warm. Koster is home. Premier Waruna. Uribulele tsuri tincha dibo fiwe. We should feel at home. Ntate Mapi. My co-program director, MEC, Klape, here with us, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, President MC Ramaphosa, our Premier of Northwest, Premier Honorable Mape, who just welcomed us, ministers and deputy ministers here present, Minister Lamula, who has given a presentation here. Today, we also have other MECs who are here with us. We have mayors, councillors present here, members of parliament, we have social cohesion advocates, honored guests, members of the diplomatic corps. In our midst, we have representatives from Yemen, we have Germany, we have Russia with us, we have Somalia with us here, we have Indonesia, we have Lithuania with us, we have Oman, we have Singapore, we have Canada, we have Senegal, we have Tunisia. It's a full house. The whole world is here. Yeah, which one? Congo, Brazzaville, Congo. Congo. We can't forget Congo. It is once again a great honor and privilege that I too add my voice on this event of commemoration to mark Human Rights Day. We also note that this also is an important day to our neighbors, Namibia, which is their Independence Day today, the 21st of March. We are gathered here today to commemorate the contributions made by our predecessors in the fight for our freedom, and there are many of them, we can't even mention them. But we remember what happened in Sharpeville, in Kualanga, and many other places during this day. As we remember that, we also remember that fine son of the soil, Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, who led people on that day demanding freedom in our land. This year's theme for the day is the Year of National Unity and Renewal, promoting and protecting our human rights gains. The violation of human rights in our country and the continent started with the advent of colonialism. Every aspect of our existence was ruined, defiled in every manner possible. In that process, we lost all the senses of dignity and humanity. There is no better way to explain the humiliation we suffered as a people than what the founding Secretary General of the governing party today, the African National Congress, Mr. Saul Platke, when he said the following about 1913 Land Act, and I quote him: "Awaking on Friday morning, June 20, 1913, the South African native found himself not actually a slave, but a pariah in the land of his birth," close quote. The second and the fundamental violation of our human rights, and there are many of them, but this one was a deliberate depredation of our indigenous languages. The United Nations organization has recognized this injustice. In an attempt to address this prejudice, it has declared the coming 10 years as the decade of building a global community for the preservation, revitalization, and support for indigenous languages worldwide. As declared by UNESCO, the decade is aimed at ensuring the preservation, revitalization, and promotion of indigenous peoples' rights to use their languages. It offers an opportunity to collaborate in the areas of policy development, the stimulating of global dialogue, and for countries of the globe to take the necessary measures for the usage of these indigenous languages around the world. The UN deeply understands the significance of language in the thought process of an individual, as Professor Kwesi Pra once put it this way, and I quote, "Mother tongue is the foundation of thought in the second language." To us, this initiative is 28 years late because this government has already recognized this and thus enacted the relevant legislation to advance the cause of indigenous languages. There are many initiatives this government has embarked on to ensure that we take this matter seriously. But at the heart is our realization that the 3 resilient fault lines have to be fought to ensure that we indeed enjoy human rights in this country. That poverty, inequality, and unemployment still persist in our country, and our task is to continuously address this so that we reach the point where human rights is everybody's rights in this country. And on this day, there is no better person to address us on this matter than His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, who's here with us. President, your compatriots are waiting for your intervention, which will be umhlahlandlela. Iza nomkhombandlela mongameli.
Halala batho ba Koster, halala. Halala batho ba Koster, halala. Ardulem fas. Ke rata go le dumedisa kaofela ha nyena ke simolle ka go leboga ba tsamaisang mosebetsi. Ke dumedise mo premier wa rona o ileng a ntshepisa gore nka fitla mo kgetleng ka bano tla ba bofile dintša a ke soka kuka ntša e bogola go bua gore o di bofile. And re yena o na le dintša tse dintsi se kile ka mo etela di dintsi ntša tsa gagwe ke leboge di-minister tsa rona tse teng gompieno mo, Minister Nathi Mthethwa, Minister Lamola, Ronald Lamola, Minister Thulas Nxesi, ke bona bao ba ke ba boneng, le Minister wa Defense le Military Veterans, Mme Modise. Ke dumedise le di MEC tsa rona tse teng mo, ke fetele mo di mayor tsa rena tsa district le masepala. Ke dumedise dikgosi tsa rona tse teng mo kopanong ye, and then greet all the residents of Koster. Forward with Koster, forward. Forward with Koster, forward. And then I greet all fellow South Africans. Today is a Human Rights Day of profound significance for many reasons. It is the first time in 2 years that we are able to gather as a people to commemorate this day and remember what happened in history, but also to pledge our determination to ensure that what happened in history and its many attendant evils does not happen again in South Africa. This is a reminder of how far we have come since the case of COVID-19 that was declared in our country, and we entered in a nationwide lockdown to contain this virus. And now we are here, able to gather in safety and observing the public health regulations, and have become part of this preventative measures have become part of our everyday lives. We are observing Human Rights Day here in the town of Koster, in the Khetleng River local municipality. Just as the people of Sharpeville in Gauteng still bear the scars of the tragedy that befell them 62 years ago, a tragedy that was fueled by racial hatred. 14 years ago, this community was shaken by a terrible crime, also underpinned by racial hatred. It was a crime made all the more worse because it happened in democratic South Africa. On the 14th of January in 2008, a white gunman, Johan Nel, opened fire in the settlement of Skirlek, killing 4 people and wounding many more. The shooting of unarmed protesters in Sharpeville on the 21st of March 1960 was the actions of a brutal regime that drew its strength from repression. The hurt of what took place in Skirlek here 14 years ago still cuts deep. It still hurts. People still remember. People still have it embedded in their memory. It was a stark reminder to us all that racism, did not die when apartheid fell. It was a stark reminder that racism is still very much alive in our country. But it was also a moment of reflection for us to redouble our efforts to get rid of racism, to rid our country of this terrible disease once and for all, and root it out of South African life. It showed us that there was much work still to be done to build the bridges of tolerance, the bridges of understanding, the bridges of building a consensus, of consolidating our cohesion as a people and as a nation. We are reminded of this even today when we hear of incidents of racism and intolerance in our schools, intolerance in our workplaces, in communities, in our universities, on the roads of our country, in professional sectors, and in many other places where South Africans interface with one another. These incidents do sadden us. They make us angry, as they should. But much worse, they humiliate us. They seek to make us less human. They break down our confidence. They just humiliate us so badly. And one of the rights we should cherish in our Constitution, whether clearly articulated or not, is the right not to be humiliated. The apartheid horror was about humiliating the black people of this country. And we must say no. We are no longer going to be allow anyone to humiliate us. We reject humiliation. We don't want to be treated as subhumans. We don't want to be humiliated. Kabani humiliation ke a gore o shebela motho mong ko tlase o fete mo o montshe gore wa motella o fete mo o montshe gore wa monyefula o fete mo o montshe gore a o matle gore a be haufi le wena. It is this type of humiliation that must end. We suffered 340 years of humiliation. And we say, it is over, it is enough. Huntsi. Huntsi. So when anybody wants to express their prejudice against us, wants to express their difference against us, really, do not humiliate us. Yes, we accept we can be different, and we accept that we may have prejudices. Gore no na a ke rate mmala o mosweu ke rata mmala o mokhibedu a ke rate mmala o motsho. That is your right. Gore no ke tla reka hempe e tshweu ke tla reka hempe ntsho go siame, but o ska e fetisa ko pele o be o re a o rate batho ba mmala o itseng. a re a ke rate batho ba bantsho le rona re ska re a ke rate batho ba basweu, and then humiliate them and then treat them badly. Ke yona ntho e re sa e batleng. So today, Human Rights Day, is also about that. And that is why we say acts of racism, acts of humiliating others because of their race, these are incidents that have no place in our society, where we still struggle to heal the divisions of the past. We have not allowed these acts of racism and intolerance to define us or to turn us against each other. They may have brought back bitter memories of our past, but they have not dragged us back into that past. Because sometimes those who seem to practice acts of racism, who express themselves in racist ways, it is almost though they are saying, we want to take you back to that past because that past favored them. That past gave them all the rights that many of us did not have. And we refuse to be dragged back to the past where there was racism in this country, but we choose to draw our strength, our inspiration, and our protection on our Constitution, which was brought into effect 25 years ago after being signed into law in Sharpeville. The Constitution affirms that South Africa belongs to all who live in it and commits us to upholding the values of our Constitution and the values of human dignity. It affirms that our society is rooted in non-racialism and non-sexism. It holds that our country is founded and rooted on the rule of law, and that all of us are equal before the law. There is no one who is favored by the law better or over another. It confirms the rights of all adult South Africans to have the right to vote, to participate in the political life of their country, a right that was denied them in the past. Our Constitution calls for the advancement and protection of human rights for all, without choosing a particular section in our community and endowing it with human rights like what was happening in the past. Remember, in the past, a tiny section of the population had human rights, and the rest did not enjoy human rights. Our Constitution was brought into effect to correct that horrible mistake. Constitution does not matter whether people are men or women, adult or children, rich or poor, landed with property or landless. Does not matter whether they are urban or rural. It does not matter whether they are earners or unemployed, whether they are workers, whether they are employers. That does not matter as far as our Constitution says. And in exercising our rights, we must also, as South Africans, reject discrimination and hate crimes that are perpetrated by some amongst us against those who pursue a sexual orientation life and on the basis of gender identity. We must condemn these acts of violence, of homophobia, as well as of transphobia. In the face of the violence that is perpetrated against the LGBTQI community, we need to ensure that we act against those forms of violence. We must be clear about that. And we would like to say that the LGBTQI plus community, I'd like to say to them, they are not alone. We are not alone, and we will walk this journey with you. We are with you, and I am with you as well. The struggle for an end to violence, to discrimination, and to hate against the LGBTQI plus community must end, and it must end now. And I'd like it to be made clear that all communities in our country have the Constitution as their protection. An attack on a woman of our country is an attack on all of us. An attack on the LGBTQI plus community is also an attack on the universal and South African values that we have all sworn to uphold and to defend. So when you attack a woman, when you kill a woman, when you violate the sexual rights of a woman, and when you attack the LGBTQI plus community, just know that you are essentially attacking the values of the South African states and the South African people. And we will not allow that, and that is why we have vowed to root out attacks against women and attacks against children. This we shall do. Now, the Constitution that we so cherish obliges the state to protect and uphold the rights that the people of South Africa have and to ensure that everybody's basic needs are also progressively met. The Constitution is founded on the achievement of equality. Today, a quarter of a century since the Constitution came into effect, we are confronted by a stark reality. We are a free people. Being a free people, there are a number of challenges that we face. We are still a long way from being a nation of equals. In recent weeks, a number of studies have told us that inequality in South Africa is growing and is deepening. This situation has been made worse by the global pandemic that has now entered its third year. The pandemic has had a grave impact on the ability of people to lead the lives of dignity promised by our Constitution. The study of the World Bank notes that South Africa remains the most unequal country in the world, and that race continues to be a key driver of inequality. Race continues to be a key driver of inequality in our country. If you are black in South Africa, and in particular if you're a woman, you are more likely to be poor, to live in an impoverished location, to be unemployed, to have lower levels of education, and not have access to any assets whatsoever, and possibly not even have access to basic services. So it is this phase of a black woman that poverty wears. The legacy of colonialism and apartheid continues to reinforce inequality in many spheres, and undoing these effects has been a momentous task. Our struggle for freedom was fundamentally about improving the lives of our people. Over the 28 years, the country has made significant progress in tackling poverty and deprivation. We have built houses for our people. We have built clinics and hospitals for our people. We have implemented universal basic education and higher education as well. The vast majority of our people have access to decent water, sanitation, electricity as well in their homes. Society's most vulnerable are supported by an extensive social welfare system. Every month, over 46% of the population receive some form of social grant. Social grant that affects the lives of those who are older. The older citizens, they get their pension without fail. And recently, the Minister of Finance increased it. The previous year, it did not increase by much, but this time round, he increased it by a little. And we have committed that that pension will always be there. We then instituted another pension for the disabled people. Those who are disabled, we said for those who are disabled, they will also receive a pension where the state supports them in their vulnerability, in the challenges they face. On top of that, we then said children below 18, they will be looked after by the state. About 12 million children every month receive their child grants every month without fail. And we said we will not fail on that. Now, with COVID having had the negative impact, we looked at our financial resources and realized that we needed to do something. For those who were employed, we relied on releasing money from the unemployment fund so that it can augment their earnings if they were being put on short time and so on. And then we were left with those who don't work, the unemployed. And we decided that much as we do not have resources, there's something that we will put on their table so that they can at least get food for their children. Then we started with the 350 Rand grant which now goes to almost 11 million South Africans who do not work. And that too has helped a great deal. So when we count all these on a cumulative basis, we find that the social wage, the grant system now covers 46% of the population. Now clearly, this is being done at a time of great hardship. Great hardship that we're going through. And we said for the 350 and so, we want to see the extent to which we can grow the economy so that those who are in receipt of the 350 can now be absorbed into the labor market. Now, this is the extensive nature of our social welfare system that has been put in place because the government sought to demonstrate that we are a compassionate government. We are a government that is seeking to address the needs of our people. Our people are suffering under really difficult circumstances of joblessness and all that. But we have said no one must be left behind. The government will not want to leave anyone behind. And it is for this reason that we came up with all these assistant measures. Asiyona ntwe entle eyo na. However, as we sit here, we see a number of these gains being eroded. This is not only because of the devastation of COVID, but also because of the impact of global events that are taking place beyond our shores. Right now, there's a huge war that is raging in Ukraine and Russia, and the gains that we've been making are now going to be reversed by that war that is taking place there, because our food prices are now going up, our fuel prices, petrol ya ko godimo, re ntse re leka gore re tsamaye tsela e sentle, re ke re bone gore re ka thusa batho ba rena ba South Africa ka tsela e feng. Yaanong ha go tlhaga ntwa ele ya ko Ukraine e re buisetsa morago. COVID le re ntse re ya pele gantle or sentle e re buiseditse morago. Go na le batho ba lekana le 2 million ba latlhegetsweng ke ditiro. So le ntwa e ya ko Russia le ko Ukraine e re buisetsa morago. Instead of moving forward, we are finding that we are now getting into another trap. It's all because many of the things that we are trying to do depend on outside factors, not all of them. Some depend on internal factors, factors that we ourselves need to address. Factors such as corruption. We have seen how corruption and incompetence have together had a devastating impact on the delivery of services, especially to society's most vulnerable. Corruption and state capture have eroded human rights. It has weakened the institutions of the state, and it has undermined the rule of law. State capture le rule of law, bao ba sa batleng go mamela molao, bao ba utswang, ba re buisetsa morago, and ha ba re buisetsa morago ba batla gore go je bona hela rona re le bantsi re ska ja gore ba re ntsha dijo ka hanong ke bona bao ba re isang morago. One of the most reasons that people here in Khetleng local municipality, like many others in the northwest around the country, experience problems with getting decent drinking water and poor sanitation. Ha re sheba di services tse tshwanetseng gore le di kry-e re kry-a gore bao ba ikemiseditseng gore ba tla utswa ke bona ba senyang di services di ska tlhola di tla mo go yeng. And ke bona bao ge ba re tshwanetseng gore ba ntshe tseleng. Ke bua beana gore ke batla gore ba utlwe ka ditsebe tsa bona, ba ikutlwele ka gobane ke a kgolwa ba na le ditsebe, ke a kgolwa ba utlwa. Ya ntho e ke e beyang ke a gore go fitlhile nako ele wa bona batho ba rena a ba sa tlhola ba ikemiseditse gore ba shebelle fela ha tšhelete e utswiwa, a ba ikemisetsa ka gobane ba itse gore ke tšhelete ya bona e tshwanetse gore ba etsetse mesebetsi. So ha o le legodu, ha wena o ikitse gore wa utswa, re tswele ka ntlo ke re tswele ka ntlo pele re go kry-a ka gobane go ka se be monate ha setse re go kry-ile. Ka nnete go ka se tlhole go ba monate nako ele ya gore no re tla kwala leitlho le one le leng le shebe kwa ha o ntse o utswa e fedile nako eo. So bao ba utswang ba sitisa gore go be le tswelopele, bao ba batlang gore etsa di-business tsa bona ba tlholega ka gobane ha ba batla di-permiti, di-license le ntho tse ding ha ba ya di-officing ba tshwanetse gore ba ntshe tjotjo ba gana ba tshwanetse gore ba gane go ntsha tjotjo. And ha motho ga go na le ope o tla reng ntsha tjotjo, re batla gore ba bang ba mo shout out ba re motho o batlang tjotjo ke yo, ka gobane o sitisa gore mosebetsi o tswelle pele sentle. Wa bona ntho e re bitsang corruption, if we can take it up as a community kaofela ha rona re nke e le mosebetsi wa community, e be rona who will draw the line. Re ipolelle gore we are not prepared to live in a society, in a community where stealing, robbing, and corruption is the order of the day. If we as a community can say so, I am telling you we will be able to root out all these corrupt elements. We are the ones who must stand up and say, no, not in our community, not in our society. Unless we do so, kana luku seng gore wa itse le utlwiseng gore batho ba utswang a ba utswe lefifing fela go na le ba bang ba ba itseng ba sebetsang le bona ene batho bao ba utswa ba itsiwe go a itsiwe gore moketekete kana yena ke Mr 10%. Moketekete yena ha o batla gore a saene permit tshwanetse mo fe 2,000 rand. Moketekete ra ba itse. We know these people because they live amongst us. Our task must be to call them out, and we as the communities have the power to root out corruption. We have the power. Go tshwana le yona ntwe ya gender-based violence. Ya gender-based violence, batho bao ba rapang, batho bao ba shapang basadi, re a ba itse. Re a ba itse because they live amongst us. And re be re thola. Ra mo itse gore no, motlhankana ole o ile a kena ko ntlong e itseng a ilo rapa ngwanyana ha tholwa. After that I ilo rapa o mong, after that I ilo rapa o mong. So then we become a community and a society of perpetrators le rona. Ka bane le rona now we are just as guilty as that person ka bane re thotse. So bahaetso nna ke re ge go fitlhile nako, if we really want to rid our country of corruption and even of gender-based violence, we must all become corruption activists. We must all become gender-based violence activists and say these things will not happen in my name. They will not happen in my presence. And allow muitsi mutho o mo rwale ka letsogo mo tshware ka letsogo o re abuti wena o sentse. You have violated one of our most important laws and values. Re a gonka re go isa maponiseng ka borona o tla bona gore o tla arabela bjang. Unless we do that, a gona se tla loka. Ke a itse la tshaba. La tshaba. La thuthumela ha le fitla moo. Ke re a re etseng ntho ka bane ha re le serious. If we are serious against corruption, against gender-based violence, then we as organized communities, and I'm not saying for the vigilante group, but organized in our formations. It can be our trade unions. It can be our churches. It can be our soccer football club. It can be our political parties. We are the ones who must cleanse our communities rather than expect and come and sort our problems out. Lily community ya kgetleng lily so mo Koster. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Ba utswang di cable la ba itse. La ba itse. Yaanong ha le expecta nna ke tlhaga ko Gauteng kwale gore ke tlo tshwara motho wa mo Koster le itse gore o utswitse kae cable e sitisang gore go be le motlakase le mo itse sentle ene le itse le mo a beyang teng le itse le re o e rekang whether o tlhaga sentini kapo kae la mo itse le a tlisa tšhelete le a mona le re o fitlhile o tlisitse tšhelete ka jeku o tlo reka koporo ele kapo di cable. So my call to all of you is that let us join in the fight against gender-based violence, the fight against corruption as well. Because of corruption, our people are forced to pay more for services. Go na le motho o utswang, and then price ya ntho e nngwe le nngwe re e rekang e tshwanetse re ye ko godimo. Government infrastructure is vandalized or left to decay so that the private service providers can be contracted to take it over. Yaanong e etsagala so. Batho ba kenang mo dikolong ba ile utswa di-computer. Batho ba ile go thuba building ya mmuso ba dula hara rona, and ra ba itse. We know them. So kere, as a community, we therefore need to join hands and make sure that we bring this to an end. Because, colleagues, it is because of complacency and arrogance that many elderly citizens cannot receive the medical care that they need. Communities are not being properly protected from criminals, and children don't have the textbooks that they need. We cannot reduce poverty and inequality as long as public money is being stolen, as I was saying. We cannot transform our society when people are confronted with arrogant civil servants, barring how kena, babar o batla eng wena, o tlo etsa mmo, where they display their arrogance. Just as Sharpeville continues to live in our minds and stand as a symbol of courage, the Constitution reminds us that we must strive for a society that is not only free and equal, but one in which corruption has no place. In the State of the Nation address, Kilekari, I'm calling on a new consensus to end poverty, inequality, and unemployment. We have called it a consensus because it must involve all of society. It must bring together government, business, community, civil society, and community formations, as well as individual citizens. And in forging a new consensus, what we are seeking to do is to reclaim the responsibility of delivering the promise of our Constitution. Now, comrades and colleagues, on this Human Rights Day, we remember that it was people's power that won our freedom. And it is the power of the people that must also take us forward. There can be no dignity if our children continue to go to bed hungry. There can be no dignity if our young people continue to remain unemployed. And there can be no dignity if access to adequate housing, health care, food, water, and social assistance is determined by the race or the class that one belongs to. Now, my message to all South Africans today is that the Constitution is not a mere piece of paper. It is a document that empowers us. As much as it places responsibilities on the state, the Constitution also confers duties on us as citizens. We can only win the war against poverty, against inequality, against unemployment, if we rid our society of the ills that continue to set the progress that we are bound to have back. And these ills, matata arkopanang le ona tseleng, it's crime, botsotsi, substance abuse, gender-based violence, damage to essential infrastructure, and violence in our schools. Now, reclaiming the Constitution must be our common task. We must obey the law and report those who break the law. We must work with the South African Police Service and other law enforcement agencies. We must join community policing forums to help keep our communities safe, and local businesses should support their work. E botlhokwa ka bane sebaka se seng le se seng se tshwanetse gore se be le community policing forum ka bane mapodisa a ba go gotlhe. We must play a supportive role to them. We must pay to the public service that we use beyond the basic amount of services that we receive. Must have trust and confidence in our municipalities that they can restore the work of the municipalities and play an important role in restoring service delivery in the local municipalities. But this cannot happen if we ourselves as residents do not pay for services. We must take care of public infrastructure and report acts of vandalism. As individuals, let us meet our common responsibility to help and to care for the elderly. People who are elderly, living with disabilities, as well as children. Now, to build the South Africa that we want, we must make our voices heard on the laws and the policies that affect us through public hearings, community hearings. Setse re simolotse process e ya dimbizo, ya dipitso, re tla ba re ya dibakeng tse dintsi, re bua le batho ba rena, re batlo utlwa sentle gore ba reng na maikutlo a bona ke a feng. So le lona le participating le mo tseo. We must be active citizens that support community-based organizations that are performing invaluable work in places that we live in. Another important duty of citizenship is holding to account those tasked with public office. Last year, we held local government elections, and new councillors have taken their seats in the municipalities across the country. We must demand our councillors that they make good on their electoral promises. Ba ile ba re tshepisa dintho tse dintsi, ba re ba tla lokisa. Re tshwantse gore ba boele mo go rena, ba tlo re bolella gore ba etsa eng na kapa ba ituletse di-officing hela. Ba tle mo go rena. Go tshwanetse gore go be le dikopano, regular meetings and report backs. Ba re bolelle gore ba etsa eng. One time ke le leetong ko China. Ko China they go beyond that. Ba bontsha kgwedi le kgwedi tšhelete e keneng le tšhelete e sebeditseng le gore e sebeditse o etsa eng. So a gona sephiri moo, a gona lekunutu, a gona go utswa tšhelete, ntho e nngwe ya bonagala, it's clearly stated. So le rona a re gona moo gore our councillors, ward and otherwise, ba tshware di meeting le rona, they must report back to us on a regular basis. But le rona ge, we must also re ba support. Re ba support mo ditirong tse ba di etsang. Re join community betterment activities like ha gotwe gompieno re lo re ilo topa dipampiri mo toropong re ba joine re kolomake toropo e ska tshwana le toropo e nngwe e ke e boneng last week kwa ko Northwest. Toropo e bitswang gore ke Mahikeng. Mahikeng e maswe. So Premier on tshepise gore o ilo simolla campaign ya go tlhatswa Mahikeng. So le mo ke batla utlwa go na le campaign ya go tlhatswa Koster. Go tlhatswe Koster. Ha le batla ke tlatla ke tlo le joina ke apare overall ka bonna ke tsamaye mo ke ntse ke cleana Koster. Wa itse keng go na le toropo e nngwe ko Rwanda. I must tell you about this. Ko Rwanda ka 1994 go le ga bolaiwa batho ba 800,000 ba bolayana gona mono. Gompieno toropo eo is the cleanest town on the African continent. Ke re mo tsamayang teng a o te o bona pampiri, a o te o bona plastic kapo tin ya Coca-Cola kapo ya Fanta a eyo. Nako e nngwe ke ile ka re no ke batlo driver mo toropong e ke batlo bona gore ba bua maaka na. Not a single piece of plastic or paper. So Luna, you are a small town. You can really be a jewel town. You can demonstrate to all of us in South Africa for being a small town in Northwest Koster. You can clean this town. Isale ibenya. Gore bao ba bang ba tswang kae kapo kae ba tle mo Koster ba tlo bona gore how do you do it. Na ntho e ke kopang ke gore clean up Koster. Be part of the process. E tlo clean up Koster. And Koster e be clean. Ke batla gore ba le ba ko Mahikeng. Ba ko Mahikeng ba tle mo. Ba tlo bona gore toropo e clean e tshwana leng na. Let them come. Ke a ba bua ka obane ke batla gore wa bona ke a ba tlontlol. Ke batla gore pelo tsa bona di utlwe botlhoko. Ka obane ke kgale ke bua ka toropo ele ya bona. So Luna, be a good example, and I want you to be better than Cape Town, better than Johannesburg, better than Sandton. Be the best town in South Africa. Le tla etsa bjalo. A ke a utlwa le tla etsa bjalo na. Ka leboga. So ke kopa gore ge ha le etsa bjalo le sebetse le di-councillor tsa rona, di-mayor tsa rona, le bona he, I am tying their feet to the fire, for they must work with you. Let this period that we are moving forward on be a turning point. Let us demonstrate that we are proud. More in Nante, who clean. Mama magaeng a lona, I know it's clean. Ke a itse, la motho a dula mokhukhung. Ha kena o kra go le clean. Di pizza la di sna dijo di tutsi mo tafoleng mo stofong di a benya. Mo fatshe go a benya mo kamoreng. Go clean sentle. So le lona ge kere I know gore mo magaeng a lona, magae a lona they are clean. Kere let us now take that experience. Re tlise mo toropong. Re bontshe gore we are a decent and clean people. Batho ba mo Koster. Jaanong es batswadi ka bana re batswadi bongata ba rona. Let us also play an active role in our children's education life. by joining the school governing bodies. Re ye ko dikolong, re lo thusa. We can say volunteer, like about 2 hours a day, 1 hour or so a week. We lo thusa. O thusa ka garden ya vegetables. O thusa ka seo le seo. Once we can do that, go na le ba bang ba di etsa mo ditoropong tse ding. They do precisely that, and that helps just to boost the morale of everybody by pizza the volunteers tsa sekolo. So le lona ge as parents, I want to challenge you to do all that. Now I want to take this opportunity to address employers in this country, including in the hospitality, agriculture, transport, and labor-intensive sectors. Now, our country has one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. Now, when employers employ, really, we want you to employ our people. Employ our people, train them well, give them the necessary skills, treat them like human beings. And I say so advisedly, being a former trade unionist, knowing hore employers ba bang, they don't even treat their workers well. So I say, treat your workers well, but we also say, now when employers knowingly hire undocumented foreign workers, they are breaking the law. Ba roba molao. Rere. Go na le gore batho ba rona ba mo gae mo South Africa ba be ba etsa di march and so forth. Let's all of us do the right thing. Ha ba etsa bjalo, they are also contributing towards social tensions between our citizens and foreign nationals who are living here or have taken refuge here. Department ya rona of Home Affairs and Employment continue to engage with employers to ensure that compliance with the immigration and labor laws of this country happens. As a country founded on tolerance, on respect, on diversity, on non-discrimination, we must never allow ourselves to turn against people who come from beyond our borders. We should not allow ourselves, those who come from other countries, being at war with them, because it is un-South African. We've always had people from other countries, and if you want to know, and I say this because I was in the mining industry, the mining industry, Yarona, as we know it, was developed and built not only by South Africans, but also from workers from other countries, Mozambique, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Angola, Zambia, Eswatini, and so on. They all participated. And of course, now we are facing challenges of unemployment. But the challenges of unemployment that we are facing should never mean that we should go and wage war against those people from other countries. Because once we do that, we just immediately promote this spirit of xenophobia. For now we hate them, and now they must go. What we are saying is that, yes, we want people to be properly documented in our country. We want employers to be very careful and hire people who are properly documented. And if we can work on that basis and do it in the spirit that we do it as South Africans, where we will do it in an orderly way, remembering where we are a diverse country. We are a diverse country, not a country of the same people. Re fapane. a re tshwane kaofela, and we came from different places. And so therefore, we must embrace one another and work together. So it's important that we should do so. Ke batla hore le openg diatla for yona point ena eno. So that is why, Kerry, those who are setting up the organizations saying, Bo Dudula, Bo Mangmang, Rere, that is contravening the law. We cannot allow a situation where we are going to get people who will embark on vigilantism to deal with a problem, a social problem. We must collectively, as South Africans, deal with it. Runa, from government side, we will do our work. But we also want to say, let us work together. It's highly sensitive because this thing can soon turn out into xenophobia, and you know how the continent can turn its back on us. We rely on this continent of 1.3 billion people for our business, for our livelihoods, for our imports, and so therefore, as we deal with the immediate problem, let us be wise, let us not be violent, and let us make sure that we remember we are a country of diverse people, and hence the appeal we make to our employers: do not employ undocumented workers, because when you do, you are just going to create tension amongst the people of our country. So today we observe Human Rights Day. We affirm that our democracy and our human rights must be enjoyed by all those who live in our country. And let's remember what the Freedom Charter says. South Africa belongs to all those who live in South Africa. So, fellow South Africans, unemployment is one of the greatest obstacles to the achievement of the rights of all South Africans. As part of our efforts to grow the economy and create jobs, we are driving a number of initiatives that are encapsulated in the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, and to address the social and economic effects of COVID-19, we have introduced a number of measures, some of which I spoke to about. To safeguard the health of our people, we have implemented the largest mass vaccination campaign in our democracy's history. Now, we must end the state of disaster. And we are looking at how we end the state of disaster. A number of other places for meetings, for sporting events and all that. That we are looking at that. But at the same time, we must reach the same level. Level ya Europe. How we were the football matching. They go in their large numbers because they've reached high levels of vaccination. 80%. 43%. So that's why, really, in order for us to get this total freedom of moving around, of knowing insurance ya revaccinate, then we must vaccinate in large numbers. I'd like to see us vaccinate in large numbers. Vaccination has proven, truly, gore bao ba vaccinatileng la ba ka kula ba tshwarwa ke COVID eo usually a e ba bolai, empa bao ba sa vaccinatang re ba bona ba kena dipetlele, ke bona ba tletseng dipetlele, and ba bang ba bona ba re sia. So ke nnete e sa feleng eo. So that is why, Rere, let us still go all out to vaccinate. It's still important for us to vaccinate so that we can eliminate these restrictions as well. So, in the end, Kiri, let us then move forward, work together on a number of areas in order to address the challenges that our country is facing. Now, if we work together to ensure that the Constitution of our country makes a difference in our lives, we will be much better off. So let us build this South African nation founded on human rights and dignity. Wabona sele se Ntate Mandela ana re ruta sona sa human rights. Re se bona e le nnete e sa fetweng. So a re boeleng mo yona human rights ele ya Rre Mandela re tswelle pele re godise naga e. Long live Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live the spirit of Albertina Sisulu, long live. Amandla. Amandla. Ke lebogile.
Long live President Ramaphosa, long live. Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. You don't translate the message. I could hear that the message is well received, judging from the response and reaction of all of us here. Thank you, Mr. President. Allah, Allah, South Africa, Allah, Allah. Allah, Allah, President Ramaphosa, Allah, Allah. Allah, Allah, Bujana, Allah. Now, I have to do and to acknowledge our sign language interpreters here with us, the two of them, Sibone Khete and Fumani Tladi. So I'm doing this because Minister Nglesi asked me whether we have the real ones. And I assured him that they are the real McCoy. Thank you very much for that. We do have our deputy ministers here with us. We have Deputy Minister Jeffrey with us. You are acknowledged, DM. We have Deputy Minister Kekan with us here. We also have Deputy Minister Pilane Machake. I know that it's now time that we wrap up our program today. Yeah? Yeah? We have Deputy Minister of Police in the house somewhere. Oh, I thought it's one of the diplomatic corps. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Matale. We are now going to ask our Executive Mayor of Bujana La Platinum District, Councillor Magdalene Matlakala. Where is the councillor? Councillor Matlakala, Nonzana.
Halala, Koster, halala. Halala, Roachile. Pambili, ka Koster, Pambili. Program director. Ke batla ke re Koster re rutegile kajeko. Our strong president, Mr. Ramaphosa, o re rutile tota. I think Haritswamo, we are going to do everything. We are going to be the whistleblower. You are not going to be afraid of the councillors because you love your Bojanala. And President, before I can do what I'm supposed to do, I want to make this commitment in front of the whole community that is here. That as an executive mayor of Bojanala, we are going to make sure that there is no corruption in the municipality. We are going to root out all corruptions. If we have corrupt managers, we are going to take them out. So with that, we can be able to do that with your help. Please, let's work together as the community of Bojanala. We are not talking about Koster alone, but the entire Bojanala. And President, the second commitment is we are not going to be like Mafike. Not at all. We are going to make sure that Koster is the cleanest town. President, we are going to start. I'm not going to be like your minister said that they will come back after 3 weeks. Rona, we are starting next week. We know that Koster is the smallest municipality in Northwest. And we are going to change the life of Koster. Koster will never be the same. Halala, Koster, halala. Thank you. Program director, let me take this opportunity to greet our honorable president and protocol observed. To make a speech, mine is very straightforward, to thank people who make this event possible. But before, ke tlo tsaya nako e, ke leboga President wa rona, all very strong and resolute. O gore ka dinako tsotlhe go mmitsa ha re ke na le mmereko. Ha ka re ha bitswa to Koster a ba rawa masepalanyana o monnyane o. He honored the invitation. Ke ka mo re tshwanetseng go mo leboga
re le baagi ba bojanala gore o re tseela matsapa. Ke tse gape ke boe ke ye ko premiereng wa rona. Last time a re le ko Mafikeng ke utlwile gothe ke Brabush. Presidente na mmitsa re Brabush. So ke tse nako e ke leboge premier wa rona o leng very committed to his community. Ka be ke boe ke ye ko di-MEC tsa gagwe tse di mo fang support 100%. They are always with him all the time. Ke tlo ba tsaya di-MEC tsa bone. Ke tlo simolola ka Memohono. Presidente na bua ka poverty. Memohono beke yotlhe o ntse fa dikoko mo Koster go ntsha lehuma le le leng teng mo Koster. Re na le mme wa rona e bong MEC Miga. Utlwelang. Mme Miga is the one o etsang gore di masepala.
Well, there you go, Nzinga President Ramaphosa there giving a keynote address here at the commemoration of the Sharpeville massacre in 1960. If you remember, about 69 people died, killed by the apartheid system. About 180 people injured just for standing up for their rights. The president there touching on that in terms of what happened 62 years ago, linking it to what transpired here a couple of years ago, where a white person, went on a rampage shooting everybody and killing a 14-year-old, saying that as much as apartheid had fallen, but it had still there were still some racism elements that were left behind. Let's listen to the president in terms of what he said with regards to racism.
On the 14th of January in 2008, a white gunman, Johan Nel, opened fire in the settlement of Skirlek, killing 4 people and wounding many more. The shooting of unarmed protesters in Sharpeville on the 21st of March 1960 was the actions of a brutal regime that drew its strength from repression. The hurt of what took place in Skirlek here 14 years ago still cuts deep. It still hurts. People still remember. People still have it embedded in their memory. It was a stark reminder to us all that racism did not die when apartheid fell. It was a stark reminder that racism is still very much alive in our country. But it was also a moment of reflection for us to redouble our efforts to get rid of racism, to rid our country of this terrible disease once and for all, and root it out of South African life.
The president also talked about inequalities that the country is still battling with, talking about the various studies that have done, that have still referred to South Africa as being one of the unequal society in the world, and with the achievement that the democratic government has achieved, but inequality is still a problem, saying that also COVID-19, it also raised that, it made it visible that, the journey of government in dealing with inequality is still long. Let's listen to what the president said.
Today, a quarter of a century since the Constitution came into effect, we are confronted by a stark reality. We are a free people. Being a free people, there are a number of challenges that we face. We are still a long way from being a nation of equals. In recent weeks, a number of studies have told us that inequality in South Africa is growing and is deepening. This situation has been made worse by the global pandemic that has now entered its third year. The pandemic has had a grave impact on the ability of people to lead the lives of dignity promised by our Constitution. The study of the World Bank notes that South Africa remains the most unequal country in the world, and that race continues to be a key driver of inequality.
Continue with delivering his speech, the president said government was doing all it can, but also referring to other internal challenges that, are having impact in terms of government doing its work, saying that the situation between Ukraine and Russia is also posing a threat. It's also becoming a challenge whereby the cost of living is too hard and it's going to make the work of government very difficult. Let's listen to what the president said with regards to that.
As we sit here, we see a number of these gains being eroded. This is not only because of the devastation of COVID, but also because of the impact of global events that are taking place beyond our shores. Right now, there's a huge war that is raging in Ukraine and Russia, and the gains that we've been making are now going to be reversed by that war that is taking place there, because our food prices are now going up, our fuel prices, petrol ya ko godimo, re ntse re leka gore re tsamaye tsela e sentle, re ke re bone gore re ka thusa batho ba rena ba South Africa ka tsela e feng. Yaanong ha go tlhaga ntwa ele ya ko Ukraine e re busetsa morago. COVID le re ntse re ya pele gantle or sentle e re buiseditse morago. Go na le batho ba lekana le 2 million ba latlhegetsweng ke ditiro. So le ntwa e ya ko Russia le ko Ukraine e re buisetsa morago. Instead of moving forward, we are finding that we are now getting into another trap. It's all because many of the things that we are trying to do depend on outside factors, not all of them. Some depend on internal factors, factors that we ourselves need to address. Factors such as corruption. We have seen how corruption and incompetence have together had a devastating impact on the delivery of services, especially to society's most vulnerable.
The president also called on the community here to join hands with government in fighting corruption, saying that corruption is amongst the challenges that government is facing, and saying that it also affects service delivery. I mean, when we came here in the morning, we managed to speak to a couple of people that raised their voice with regards to service delivery, unemployment, saying that the roads here were not accessible when they called in ambulances to come and help. but to get reaction from what the community think in terms of what the president said, let's go to my colleague Teboho Pakedi, who will be engaging with the community in terms of their reaction on what the president said.